You wake up more exhausted than when you went to sleep. No distractions. No alarms. You actually managed a full 8 hours. But your body feels like it's been through a battle. Your chest is heavy. Your heart races for no reason. You try to brush it off. Maybe I'm just stressed. But deep down, you know it's more than that. It doesn't feel mental. It feels like something is draining you, silently, constantly, even when you're doing nothing. And here's the unsettling part. Sleep used to be peaceful, safe. But lately, even your own bedroom doesn't feel right. You keep waking up, between 2 and 4 a.m., like clockwork. There's a strange chill in the air. A weight pressing on your chest. And that one item you keep meaning to move, still sitting exactly where it always has. Let's stop ignoring it. Because this isn't a ghost story. This is about a deeper spiritual reality, one we often overlook. Especially in the very space we spend the most time in, our bedrooms. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi. This video isn't meant to scare you. It's meant to wake you up. Let's go over 6 things in your room that may be silently inviting harm, whether through witchcraft, jinn activity, or spiritual disturbance. Some are objects. Some are habits. Some are just things we've neglected. By the time we reach number 6, you may never see your bedroom the same way again. Number 1. Dreamcatchers, talismans, and spiritual decor. It usually starts innocently. A friend gives you a dream catcher for protection, or you hang up some positive energy artwork. Maybe something promising peace, love, or wealth, wrapped in colorful designs and good vibes. But here's where it becomes dangerous. We start placing our trust in them. We begin to feel safer just because that object is nearby. That's where we cross the line. Because in Islam, protection doesn't come from fabric, symbols, or beads. It comes from Allah alone. Many of us grew up seeing strange objects hung around the house to keep jinn away. Blue bee. This isn't about your intention. You didn't mean to commit shirk. But assigning any form of power to an object, even unintentionally, is a serious spiritual risk. And here's the part most people don't realize. Many of these objects have origins in pagan traditions, occult practices, and ritual magic. You don't know who made them. You don't know what they were originally designed for. But now they hang over your bed every night. Spiritual harm doesn't always announce itself through big rituals. It often slips in quietly, as aesthetic, a trend, or a harmless gift. Even if you don't believe in them, their presence in your space influences your energy. It subtly shifts your dependence away from Allah and toward things. That's how spiritual corruption begins. So yes, beautify your space. But make sure your decor isn't pulling your heart away from Tawheed. True protection doesn't hang on your wall. It's whispered in your du'as and lived through your obedience to Allah. Number 2. Thrifted or second-hand decor with unknown history. Maybe you found it at a garage sale. Or it was a bargain on Facebook Marketplace. An antique candle holder. A mysterious old painting. A beautifully carved mirror. You didn't think twice. It was cheap, unique, and gave your room vibes. But here's what no one talks about. Not everything that's secondhand is harmless. In today's world of minimalism and vintage trends, we love the idea of pre-loved items. But do we ever ask where these things came from? Who used them? What was done with them? Sometimes, people don't give things away just because they're old. They give them away because something's wrong with them. Maybe the object was used in a ritual. Maybe it was in a home where Allah's name was never mentioned. Maybe it's been surrounded by negative, toxic, or even cursed energy. Islam doesn't tell us to fear every item, but it does teach us that the unseen world is real. The Prophet said, "Indeed, the jinn spread out at night and snatch what they can. So close your doors and mention the name of Allah, for Shaitan cannot open a door over which Allah's name has been mentioned." Muslim. Now think about that. If leaving a door open without saying Allah's name invites Shaitan, what about bringing in an entire object with an unknown past? We don't know the full story behind these items. They may have been involved in things we can't even imagine, like Sihr, magic, conflict, or emotional trauma. And now they sit in your room, next to your bed, right where you sleep. Don't ignore this. Even if you don't feel haunted, the energy of these items can subtly affect your peace, your sleep, and your heart. Spiritual darkness, and the objects that carry it. That object in your room? It may have been part of something far darker than you realize. Yet here you are, sleeping just inches away from it, spreading your prayer mat beside it, letting it sit silently on your shelf like it's just another decorative piece, while something unseen may be sitting with it. And here's the subtle part. It doesn't need to move, speak, or flicker your lights. Its impact is often quieter. You feel unsettled in your own space, anxious without reason. Dreams become strange. Arguments start out of nowhere. Salah becomes harder to focus in. You wake up already depleted, as if your room is resisting you. This isn't superstition. This is spiritual sensitivity, and Islam acknowledges it. That's why the Prophet Muhammad taught us real protections. Ayat al-Kursi before sleeping. Morning and evening adkar. Reminders to close doors with the name of Allah. Because it's not just your soul that needs shielding. Your space does too. So what should you do? If there's any object in your room that gives you an uneasy feeling, trust that feeling. You don't need a jinn to introduce itself to know something's wrong. Recite over it. Cleanse it with decor. And if it still feels off, let it go. Because your peace is more valuable than any thrifted bargain. You thought you brought home a chair, but maybe you brought home someone else's spiritual baggage. Or worse, their curse. 3. Crystals and energy stones. You might not have believed in them at first. It usually starts small, a gift from a friend. Or a pretty little stone you bought without thinking much. Rose quartz for love. Amethyst for peace. Obsidian for protection. You tell yourself, I'm not into all that energy stuff. It just looked nice. But then you see it more and more. On social media. With moonlight rituals. Candles. Calm music. And the message starts to creep in. What if this actually works? And that's when the spiritual door opens. What was once just a shiny rock becomes something you associate with healing, control, peace. Something that calms your panic or draws someone closer to you. But here's the truth. The truth no influencer or lifestyle blog will tell you. The moment you place hope, even slightly, in something created, you begin detaching your heart from the Creator. And once your trust leaves Allah, even for a moment, Shaitan doesn't need a wide open door. He only needs a crack. And you'll feel it. Not in some horror movie kind of way, but in a subtle shift. You used to cry during your dua. Now you're just going through the motions. The Quran used to comfort you. Now it feels distant. You start blaming your iman, your mood, your life. But deep down you know. You've allowed foreign beliefs to take root in your heart. Let's be clear. Islam doesn't reject nature, but Islam draws a firm red line when nature is worshipped, relied upon, or treated as a source of power. The Prophet said, "Whoever wears an amulet has committed shirk." Ahmad? No, crystals aren't amulets in the traditional sense. But ask yourself honestly. If you're holding that stone, hoping it will protect you, heal you, or influence your life, isn't that the same? Islam teaches us that healing, emotional, spiritual, physical, comes from Allah alone. And when Allah heals you, He doesn't need vibrations, moon cycles, or charging rituals. So next time someone says, "Relax, it's just a rock," ask yourself, if it's just a rock, why are people expecting it to do things only Allah can do? Number 4. Hidden symbols in art and decor that invite darkness. You bought it because it looked cool. Bold colors. Clean lines. Maybe it was a vintage statue or an abstract print. You didn't even notice the strange symbol carved into it, or the odd pattern on the rug. Or the eye subtly hidden in the background of that one painting. And even if you did, you told yourself, it's just art. It doesn't mean anything. But here's the part most people don't like to hear. Not everything aesthetic is spiritually neutral, and not everything decorative is innocent. Much of today's trendy decor, especially what you find online, in bazaars or thrift shops, contains symbols rooted in pagan rituals, occult meanings, or spiritual ideologies completely at odds with Islam. Things meant to unlock energies, channel spirits, attract forces we were told to stay far away from. Have you ever noticed how your room starts to feel heavier after you bring something home? How your sleep worsens? How small arguments suddenly erupt? How your iman feels off, but you blame stress, or the lighting, or your own shortcomings? Deep down though, you sense it. Something isn't right. Here's the reality. Shaitan doesn't need an open invitation. He just needs you to stop being cautious, to stop questioning, to forget to remember Allah when shopping, decorating, or receiving gifts. And once you let your guard down, even a simple, aesthetic object can crack the door open. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "Indeed, the plot of Shaitan is ever weak." Surah An-Nisa 4 hours 76 minutes. Weak, yes, but not invisible. That's what makes it dangerous. Most people won't notice the hand signs etched into a wall hanging, the inverted stars in a design, or the references to spiritual energies woven into the very decor of their room. But the jinn do, or ancient talismans hidden in a statue's design. And the ones who notice, but still ignore it, are playing with something they don't understand. This isn't about becoming paranoid. It's about becoming aware. Let's be real. No decor is worth compromising your peace. Not for the aesthetic, not for the vibes, not for a painting that looks expensive, but might be inviting the very thing you've been making dua to get rid of. So if you keep wondering why your home doesn't feel light anymore, maybe the problem isn't you. Maybe it's what you let in. Number 5. Manifestation journals and the law of attraction trap. It starts out harmless. You're in a bookstore and spot a beautiful journal with "You are the magic" written in gold. Or maybe you're scrolling TikTok, watching someone talk about scripting their dream life, writing affirmations like, "I attract abundance. My soulmate is already on the way." It doesn't sound wrong. In fact, it feels hopeful, even peaceful. Like you're just setting intentions. But here's what no one tells you. The moment you start believing your pen controls your destiny, you've already crossed a dangerous line. Because now, your trust isn't in Allah. It's in yourself. You start writing, "I will be rich by 25. I'm calling in my dream partner. Everything I want is coming to me because I deserve it." And this isn't goal setting. This is spiritual bypassing, hiding a dangerous belief inside motivational language. The law of attraction says, you attract what you are. But Islam teaches, you are what you choose for the sake of Allah. Whether it comes to you or not, that's up to Him. Allah says in Surah Ghafir 40:60, "Call upon me, I will respond to you." He didn't say, "Write it into the universe." He said, "Call upon me." One verse is enough to dismantle the entire foundation of manifesting. Because in Islam, dua is not about commanding the universe. It's about surrendering to the creator of the universe. And here's where it gets even more dangerous. Some of these journals include full-on rituals. Light a candle, say the affirmation 33 times. Fold the paper and sleep with it under your pillow. That's not self-help. That's a modern, marketable form of sihr, magic. Calling on spiritual forces outside of Allah's permission to make things happen. And the scariest part? Most people don't even realize they've crossed that line. Because no one warns them. Because the fonts are soft. Because the covers are pastel. Because it feels empowering. But once you start depending on your words, your routines, your crystals, Instead of sincere tawakkul and prayer, you've handed your heart to a lie. A pretty one, but still a lie. And eventually it stops feeling empowering and starts making you anxious. Because now every delay feels like a failure. Every disappointment feels like you scripted it wrong. But Allah never asked you to write the future. He asked you to trust Him when the future is hidden, to call on Him when the night feels long, to keep praying even when the page feels blank. So if your journal isn't bringing you closer to Allah, but deeper into control, obsession, or superstition, maybe it's time to close it. Say Bismillah and start again. Not with a spell, not with a sentence, but with sincere dua. The kind that doesn't need to rhyme, only needs to reach. Number 6. Dolls and human-like figures in the room. There's something deeply unsettling about a doll just sitting there, staring from the corner of your room. At first, it seems innocent. A soft toy on a child's shelf. A porcelain face behind a glass case. Maybe a collector's item passed down through generations. But ask yourself honestly, why does it make the room feel heavier? Why does it feel like something is watching? You're not imagining it. The Prophet Muhammad said clearly, "The angels do not enter a house in which there is a dog or images of living beings." Bukhari, Muslim. This wasn't a metaphor. This was a warning. You're begging Allah for mercy, barakah, protection. You leave your prayer mat in the corner. But in the same room sits a lifelike doll. A teddy bear with eyes and a smile. Or a framed painting of a human or creature. This isn't superstition. This is a clear condition from the Prophet. Some things physically block angels from entering. And when the angels leave, something else fills that space. Sometimes the effects are subtle. Restless sleep. Pressure on your chest during Salah. Random arguments between family members. A constant heaviness in the air. Feeling like no amount of decor makes the room feel clean. And you keep asking, why does my house feel off? But maybe it's not your Iman. Maybe it's that figure sitting silently on the shelf, blocking the very mercy you're praying for. Because the physical presence of something forbidden still lingers. That doll, that figure, it's still standing in the room, day and night. You might say, it's just a toy. My daughter feels safe with it. But what if that false sense of safety is blocking her from them? Only to trace it all back to a single object that no one thought twice about. You don't need to burn it. You don't need to panic. But you do need to decide. Are you willing to keep something in your home that the Prophet told us literally repels angels? This isn't fear-mongering. It's about seeing your home the way Allah sees it, not the way magazines or influencers do. Because that same shelf where you proudly placed a cute porcelain figure might be the very reason Allah's protection is standing outside your door, unable to enter. Let's pause. Really pause. This video isn't meant to make you paranoid. It's not a checklist of suspicions. And it's certainly not to convince you that every item in your room is cursed. That's not Islam. And that's definitely not the tone of our beloved Prophet. This is about one thing, awareness. About realizing that your home, especially your bedroom, isn't just where you sleep. It's where your soul rests. Where you cry. Where you make dua in the dark. Where you're the most unguarded, most raw, most real with Allah. And if there's even a small chance that something in that space is blocking angels, or inviting what shouldn't be there, why wouldn't we want to clear it? A word about amulets and taweez. Yes, there are authentic hadiths where the Prophet warns, whoever wears an amulet has committed shirk. Ahmad. But scholars have clarified, this isn't a blanket ruling. That warning refers to certain types of amulets. Those with unknown symbols. Writings not rooted in the Quran. Objects believed to protect independently of Allah. But if something contains clear Quranic verses, written respectfully by a trustworthy scholar or loved one, and you believe protection comes from Allah alone, then many scholars have allowed it within specific guidelines. So no, Not every tweeze is shirk. But done incorrectly, it enters a dangerous gray area, opening spiritual doors we may not be equipped to close. This is not a fatwa. It's a wake-up call. Because let's be real. We live in a world of deep spiritual confusion, where manifestation books and healing crystals are sold on the same shelves as Qurans and prayer mats. We can't afford to be careless anymore. What we let into our rooms will slowly begin shaping what enters our hearts. That dream that won't leave you. That sadness that keeps growing heavier. That strange feeling of being watched, even when you're alone. Maybe it's not just stress. Maybe it's not all in your head. Maybe your room has been trying to say something. And maybe, today, you finally heard it. If this video reminded you of something, drop a comment. May Allah protect every home from hidden harm. And if you've ever experienced something unsettling, a dream, a feeling, or an object that didn't sit right with your soul, share your story. You might help someone else finally make sense of what they've been silently feeling. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who might need it. It costs nothing, but it could be the reminder that pulls someone out of spiritual darkness. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.